Calling the zoning hearing board for August 15th, 2023 to order. First up is a discussion on appeal Z 23-2019, which was originally scheduled for tonight. And I'll hand it over to Adam here.
Or Mr. Chairman, that one is going to be moved to, I believe, the first meeting in September, day after Labor Day, September 5th. So just an issue with re-advertising, because I believe they have two variances and the advertisement was only for one. So that's been re-advertised and agreed to by the applicant, as far as I'm aware, to the September 5th. But they've already kind of administratively handled that. So first item would be Z 23-2020.
So if you come up and get sworn in, and Mr. Flager here will read in the exhibits. And you've got a lot of exhibits.
Who's going to testify?
I'll be testifying today.
Could you state and spell your full name, please?
Yep. My first name is Daniel, Daniel. Last name Kostinsky. That's Kostinsky.
I think
Do you sound, anybody else going to testify?
it's
State and spell your full name, please.
Thomas Borghetti, Thomas, B as in boy, Orghetti.
Do you both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
okay. Wait a minute here. We'll get the exhibits read in, and then you can explain to us what it is you'd like to do and
Sure. Okay.
and the packet that you provided.
Yes, extensive. So I apologize for that.
So we have the application as A1, the site plans as A2, and then we will mark the post-construction stormwater management plan narrative, that whole giant thing.
Yes, 97-page packet.
As A3. And then if we need to refer to specifics in there, we can get more specific, but we'll collectively mark that as A3 just to make things a little simpler. B1, proof of publication, B2, proof of posting, and B3, notice to the neighbors.
Okay, go ahead and make your presentation.
Thank you very much. I just want to confirm that everybody does have the site plan because I'll be referencing it. I do have copies if you don't have it, or yep, there it is. Cool. Okay, so if everyone's good to go, my name is Daniel. I'm here with my fiance Christiana. This is our home that's currently in the kind of 60-70% completion phase of construction. This was a property that we had purchased from a gentleman who had hoped to develop this for his family, but he ended up moving, so we purchased the property. The property did come with some very specific site difficulties as far as fitting everything in, basically our entire backyard. So if you take a look at this kind of section, basically this diagonal that stretches the whole backyard. So we have a septic in micro mound there, park right system, so that obviously we can't do anything on top of that. And then also we have stormwater infrastructure in the back right corner. So that'll consist of an infiltration berm, as well as a basically a bed for detention. So basically the majority of this backyard really can't be used. We can't do anything on the right side. We got septic tanks there, a well, propane tanks. So we're here today basically to respectfully request from the board that we obtain some zoning relief for a few things. The first one being a front yard setback. So the way that this property is located, it's located with a primary frontage of Delaware Rim Road, with a secondary frontage because it's a corner property. So this is basically a second front yard, which is Dell Drive. It's a dead end street. We don't have any neighbors that are, beyond that. The street dead ends right next to us. And unfortunately, the only place that we could put a pool, and obviously we're here for a pool request today, is kind of tucked away in this left side of the backyard, kind of split between the house and the driveway, with the idea being that you could access the pool deck from a gate that's kind of on a fence along the driveway. So the first variance request would be for a reduced front yard setback, since we do have that 40-foot requirement on the side. It's being requested that we reduce that to, I believe, 6.9 feet. The secondary request would be to put a fence within the setback. I believe the fence is drawn here along the side property line, which I believe triggers a variance for that. And then obviously, the most common thing that people come here for is the impervious surface. So we are requesting to go, I mean, according to this application, I believe we're requesting to go to 21.8. Under the order, under the code, we're allowed, sorry, it's kind of small. It should be 18% for this lot. So this is a request of 3.8%, I believe. If I'm seeing everything correctly. Yeah, 3.8% increase in the impermeable surface. The way that this project was designed when this was permitted as a new construction home, the stormwater infrastructure was sized with the hopeful anticipation that in the future we would seek to build a pool. So our civil engineering firm, Holmes Cunningham, whom I have Tom with me today, a representative from the firm, they sized this system to accommodate this additional impervious surface. So, the caveat with this being that we would agree to mitigate any new impermeable surfaces down to that required maximum of 18%. We can do that from within the existing plan. There wasn't any upgrades needed to the system because it was properly designed from the start. I mean, obviously you have this crazy packet stormwater narrative that dives into that information, and I'm sure the building department will take a look at that as part of this. We did speak to, Holmes Cunningham did speak to the building department, to, as far as I know, and they kind of agreed that obviously there is no other place to put this pool if we are to have it. The only additional thing that that has kind of come to mind today as I was preparing for this hearing is that because we don't have a permit set for the pool, nobody had thought about where to put the pool equipment, and I'm sure that that may be a question that might arise. Where are you putting your pool equipment? And additionally, if you take a look at kind of the corner of this pool deck, it doesn't really have an exact connection to the existing walkway. You can see it's almost separated by that contour line. There might be like 6 inches in between. So as part of this, I would request to accommodate about 20 square feet for 20 to 25 square feet for the pool pad, which ideally I'd like to place in the back left corner, kind of where that concrete washout is. I believe that would, I'm not sure if that would trigger a variance for a setback for that. I mean, I'm open to moving that wherever it makes sense. I don't want to have to run, hundreds of feet of lines if I don't have to, but I could move it elsewhere. So that's not like a sticking point. And I'd like to connect that walkway to the pool deck. The civil engineering firm has kind of said that we may be able to increase, to basically request for a round number of 22% impervious, which would accommodate about an additional 40 square feet, which would allow us to get that pad in without, having to make adjustments or put that in a weird place, and also to connect that walkway to the pool deck for practicality purposes. And they believe it might be able to be done under the de minimis statute. So that's just something I wanted to throw in there. I'm open for, the board's comments on that and suggestions. It's always been a dream of ours to build a home in Bucks County with a pool. We lived in the city for years. We lived here originally and moved away to the city for a couple of years, and now we're back, and we're trying to plant some roots for a future family, and a pool has certainly been a long desire of ours. So we respectfully request zoning relief from the board for that. And if there's any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them the best I could. Also, I'll bring in Tom at this point if you wanted to kind of speak to how your stormwater is designed. I know you have some channel drain and some routing for this stormwater infrastructure.
So to accommodate the, to accommodate the additional impervious. The actual facility didn't have to change at all in terms of, the size of the berm and the structure and the pipes. And most of the pool was able to be regraded around to kind of naturally drain to the stormwater facility as we had the grading plan. The only additional structures we had to add is a pool drain on the southern side of the pool with a pipe that would go to that swale we had already designed to get to the infiltration berm.
So what you're saying is basically what Dan said as well, that the stormwater management system was already sized to include the pool and even the pool equipment pad. Is that my understanding?
Correct. It was sized to include extra impervious, and when we got the design for the pool and add those numbers in it, all the calculations still work per the
What
stormwater report that was provided.
what is the maximum impervious surface that the stormwater management system right now can mitigate?
So the maximum we've looked at is the 22%.
Okay, so it wasn't sized for anything greater than 22%.
The question I think is, what was it sized for?
Yeah. In other words, like you sized it without having a pool, but knowing you wanted a pool. So right now you're trying to mitigate approximately 22%, but could it stormwater manage 23%, 24% as designed? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, as designed today, we've only seen it work for 22%. We didn't run the numbers for 23, but it was extremely close with 22.
Okay, so that's fair to say that as designed, it can manage 22% back down to 18%. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Question for Dan here. How did this size detention basin end up on a single residential property? Is it just for this property alone? What's the reasoning here? Since it has to have been a township requirement.
I think it's just where the property is located in general, because there's a lot of wetlands and other resource protected land near it. So I think they were kind of like overcompensating, I guess.
Know the street, so I know it goes back to, like, is there a small creek or?
There's a creek there is a creek that is located behind our property line. So the rear property line, I don't know, might be about 15 to 20 feet. There's a creek that runs there. The neighbor's home the neighbor has like a little waterway on the side of his house. And actually all the rainwater from the street drains to a catch basin, which deposits into his waterway, which takes it back to the creek. So I think that's the way that the street manages stormwater. The way that we're managing stormwater is both permeable paving at the driveway for all the roof leaders for the most part. And then all the sheet drainage is running to this berm. And I mean, it does a good job of it. I mean, it's already installed and nothing gets past the berm because it's like a big hill in the backyard all around. Yeah. So
how is the pervious paving accounted for in your calculations right now?
it's included. So
It's included as impervious or?
no. So they're utilized, as far as I understand, and you may correct me, for the overall 22% that they're mitigating the stormwater on the site. They're utilizing both this berm and base and detention area and also the permeable paving. I don't think that anything from the pool deck is utilizing the permeable paving because it doesn't go that direction. They have that drainage that kind of slopes towards that detention area. I think that the permeable pavers that are specified and in the process of installation are just for the roof leaders, and that's how we have it constructed. We have a pipe underneath around the landscaping in the house, and we have all the roof leaders leading to a 4-inch pipe that kind of empties out into that 3 feet of stone we have under the driveway, basically. So.
I have a question for Adam. Adam, do we have an issue from an advertising standpoint that They came before us with 21.8% proposed, and clearly now we're going to have closer to 22% because of the future pool equipment pad.
So you could, I guess the best way to handle it, you could kind of say it's an amendment to, or a revised request. The request itself, I would say if you are increasing it, it's 0.2%. And the advertising, I think, is fine because ultimately you're still putting people on notice that you're going over. The fact that it would be 0.2%, I would say, is maybe a de minimis change in that. And so I don't think you would have to re-advertise just to go up to 22%.
Another question here for Dan. I know you mentioned side yard setback, but the pool itself physically isn't in there. And if he doesn't put the equipment pad in there, is there a reason for a side yard setback?
I believe it's for the deck. I think that
The deck doesn't extend over there. The deck's, look at the drawing, pull a drawing up, it stops 30 feet short.
So the way that I understand it, and I could be wrong, is
Mhm.
that we have what's technically called a front yard setback in two locations. We have a 40-foot front setback along the actual front of the house, but also on the left side of the house, because that's, to my understanding, how corner lots typically work, where you'll have two front yard setbacks, and both the pool and the decking is within that front yard setback of 40 feet. You can see a dashed line that kind of runs through the pool, where the pool steps are inside the pool, and that is the 40-yard marker as far as I recall from our civil plan.
So you're saying that the side yard setback is what's coming off of Dell Drive then?
Yeah, I call it a side yard, but I guess the code considers it a front yard, even though it's on the side.
Yeah, this one has dual frontage, so it's 40 on both. The decking that you refer to, is it actually like a deck or is it a patio at grade?
No, it's either going to be concrete. It's probably going to be concrete either way. We may put a paver, just a aesthetic paver on top of it, like a porcelain paver or something, or we may just do stamped concrete or something along those lines. But it is truly impermeable, like, patio material.
Yeah, Dan, can you confirm? But I don't believe that requires a setback if it's at grade.
yeah, I believe that's correct.
I'm sorry, Dan. Clarify, is Matt correct, his assertion?
Yes.
So we're not even rendering a decision on a setback tonight?
I don't believe we need a variance to the setback based upon what I'm seeing on the plan. I think the only thing we need to,
Yeah, I mean, if the pool deck and the water aren't 10 feet, less than 10 feet from the side property line, then no.
From Dell Drive, but I don't think there's anything else where it's.
I mean, to my understanding, and obviously you guys probably know best, and it was explained to me and maybe inaccurately, but that you can't have a pool or decking within a front yard setback. I don't think that, I think that's correct for a side yard, but if it is truly considered a front yard, which it has been on our plans thus far, then I guess we would need the variance for
Front yard.
pool being within
Yeah,
the
no,
front yard setback.
But not
it is
that.
a front yard. It is a front yard setback. You have one of the corner lots in the town that always cause problems. So
Correct. Yeah, I know.
all right. Can you? I hate to ask this, but can you got a 6-foot pool fence on Dell Drive that appears to be right on the property line. Is that correct?
Yes, that's how it's currently drawn.
All right. I hate to even bring this up, but in the past, the board has been unwilling to grant variances on dual frontage lots without some setback. What could you describe the fence that you're looking to install? Is it slatted? It is open?
Yeah, so I mean, currently on this civil drawing, it's specified as a vinyl fence, but that was never my intention to do a vinyl fence. I'm doing a black steel fence that has see-through pickets, spaced 4 inches apart. I think it'll just match nicely with just the home design in general. We're trying to go for kind of a modern European look. That's kind of the design principle. So we're trying to keep with that. So if possible to put the pool there, that'll allow us a little bit of safety. And also I don't want to get the pool too close to that drainage channel drain that's on the edge of the pool deck. I guess that was their design intent with putting on the property line there.
Yeah, I'll speak for myself, but generally speaking, it's like when you get tall fencing right up against the property line, it starts creating like a
yeah, I understand. No, it would just be a standard 6 foot, see-through fence that, we're not trying to block the view on, there's no one to block the view from besides my neighbor across who I'm very friendly with. And
I was just going to say that, I mean, it's not a regular, Bell Drive is not.
No, we're the only driveway there besides.
I'm not even sure why it's there.
Yeah, it's a stub road.
Yeah.
You can't build back.
You
there
can't build because of the stream. Yeah.
I don't even know why they bothered.
And it could eventually be made a paper road and then you
Yeah.
get more property, you and your neighbor. So
That's what it almost seems like, a paper.
Yeah. Because I thought at one point, for a while, I thought, oh, they're gonna build something back there and connect it. And then I realized that you can't build there. There's a stream there, so they can't connect that to anything.
So Dan, I noticed that fronting Delaware Rim, that's showing a fence extension there. Is that part of this, or is that already in the setback? And is that a concern off Delaware Rim?
can you repeat that?
They're showing a fence line extending into this. I don't think it's an issue, but I just wanted to confirm the fence that's extending along in the front is extending into the setback on Delaware Rim.
that one.
Yes.
Well,
To be totally honest, we're not actually putting the fence there. The fence is going to be, if you know, I can point. It's gonna be
Okay. Okay, well, it makes it a non-issue. I know we've had issues with high fences in front yards. That's why I was asking, so.
And I have to, again, it's like, I'm not sure what genius decided to put a paved road that.
Yeah.
is on this.
No, we're talking Delaware Rim there, not Dell.
Yeah, I know, like I said, I know the street pretty well, and I was thinking, they can't continue that road. There's
nothing to continue to.
no, just water, just the creek, so.
We'll do that. Actually, one more question for Dan. Has there been, the township done any cross check on the narrative and calculations here at all, or?
Yeah, we, when the permit was submitted for the new home, the stormwater was calculated and it's accurate for the amount it's able to mitigate.
It's able to mitigate 22% for township
Yes.
calculations. Okay, that's important to know. All right.
Yes.
All right. Is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
No public comment online.
Anything else from the board, or entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve appeal number Z 23-2020. Subject to mitigating the proposed 22% impervious back to 18%. Included in that 22% is a future pool equipment pad. The only caveat of this approval is the township engineer needs to verify that the pool equipment pad does not push the impervious past 22%.
I'll second.
I'll make a couple more here. To include a front yard setback on Dell Drive reduced to 6.9 feet. And that the fence will be a steel picket fence 4-inch on center.
His motion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. Discussion. Okay, I forgot to ask Barb if she had comment, but I believe she said she didn't.
I'm not involved in this.
Okay. All right, then all those in favor of the appeal?
Aye.
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 Okay. Z 23-2020 passes as just discussed. And you're good.
Thank you so much, the board, for hearing us out and looking at this 100 pages of stormwater calculations. Have a great night. Thank you so much.
All right, next up is Appeal Z 23-2023.
Yeah, how are you?
So let Adam read in, Mr. Flegger read in the exhibits, and then you'll get sworn in.
All right, we have the, the application as A1. We have the plans, 3-sheet plans as A2. The zoning information, which is the impervious calculations, is A3. And then the impervious surface breakdown calculations and stormwater management, small project volume control are collectively marked A4, B1, proof of publication, B2, proof of posting, and B3, notice to the neighbors.
Would you both state and spell your full name, please?
Sure. My first name is Christopher, CHRISTOPHER. Last name's Heinz, HEINTZ.
Name is Victoria Heinz, VICTORIAHEINTZ.
Do you both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead and explain what it is you'd like to do.
Sure. We're looking to build a rear patio on the back of our house, and it's going to impede on our impervious surface. Basically, where we're at right now, we are basically at the limit with nothing out, basically nothing out back. So anything that we basically do outside for a porch or patio or anything is going to increase our impervious surface as it is right now. We have a deck. Don't like the deck and want to do a stamped concrete patio. Also along the back we're full sun all summer long, so we have no shade, no nothing like that. So we want to build a porch that actually covers about 2/3 of the patio. And so we're here to ask for if we can increase our impervious surface. I did include a stormwater management thing, building a trench or digging a trench to fill with stone for runoff. We also have a retention basin behind us. And I also last summer put in a retaining wall along the back of the property that has 18 ton of stone behind it as well. So I would assume that that would collect, most of the water that's going to run off. And our backyard is not exactly level. It's still left it kind of sloped. So that way the water still does run to the back of the property as it was designed, per the plans when the house was actually built. So this takes us, I guess, from our impervious surface from 28%, which is allowable, up to 34.3%. We're looking to add about 950 square feet of patio. So. And also with the stormwater management, I guess, too, if I don't know. I spoke with Dan about the retaining wall and he said that that's, you know, usually not kind of taken into consideration. But just wondering if I could get maybe a little bit of lenience for maybe not making the trench so big to fill with stone in the backyard. Or, you know, if I get some kind of, I have pictures of the retaining wall. If you guys need to see pictures of all the stone that's in there as well.
I'd like to bring to the board's attention that in looking in the impervious surface calculations, the retaining wall is not included. So his impervious calculations are going to be higher depending upon the size of that retaining wall.
I believe they are in the actual calculations.
It actually is in the calculation. Yeah. It's under the coverage calculation, retaining wall, 124 square feet.
Yeah, on the zoning information sheet.
That thing.
Towards the bottom. Sorry, it's kind of small. Should have blown it up a little bit. Sorry.
You needed a magnifying glass. Honest. I can read.
I have another question for Dan while she's looking this up, and that is, what triggers in a rear yard setback? I mean, he's asking for this to have a roof over it, basically. Does that trigger the backyard setback? What triggers that?
Well, it's the plan set open porch and a deck wouldn't, like decks can go into the rear yard setback. So I don't think this is.
It says covered, so I'm assuming that means it's effectively roofed. Does that trigger a rear yard setback issue?
Where does it say covered?
And the design page.
And
he mentioned it in his description. Yeah,
I was under the impression that if it's open on 3 sides, it doesn't impede on the setback.
it's this drawing. Plus, he mentioned it too in the description.
Yes.
It's open on the 3 sides. I don't think it would be fully covered. So I don't think that would require a setback.
Well, I'm just asking what triggers that, because obviously
I
it's
think it would need to be. I think it would need to be fully enclosed and part of the dwelling. So like if it was an addition, then that would trigger a setback. But I think in this case, it wouldn't.
All right, well, Barb's still writing, so does any other board member have a comment or question right now?
Dan, what is the allowable in this district? I couldn't find that anywhere.
28%.
I'm sorry.
28%.
Thank you. So Dan, did you review the stormwater management plan and does it mitigate it back to 28.6%?
Yes.
All right, so just looking at your calculations here, you're mitigating back to the 28.6%, correct? Not back to 28. All right. We also noticed that you're trying to rely on some of the tree coverage for volume reduction. I'm going to let the rest of the board weigh in on that, but typically we tend not to be big on that. So I'll let Judy go explain.
It's always me.
Yeah.
I just full disclosure, I just added them in there because they're in the yard.
They're already there.
So if I have to make the trench bigger or whatever, I'm fine with that.
The
If you don't want to
issue
count the
with
trees.
Trees, and look, I love trees. I plant constantly bushes and trees, but trees have a natural life. They also can be diseased. They can be hit by lightning. but the next person that moves in might not like them and would cut them down. So we can't count them as a permanent way of ameliorating a water problem.
Okay.
That's pretty much, they're nice. Yes, they help.
Not a huge fan of trees, actually.
Mr. Hines, you asked for a little leeway earlier regarding the retaining wall and the 18-ton of loose stone. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else but myself, but short of you having an engineering report that would actually be part of the stormwater management, where you brought an engineer in who said, hey, this is how the was constructed and it's going to mitigate X amount of stormwater management runoff. If you had that, obviously we would clearly consider that, but you don't. So in light of that, I'm not willing to grant leeway on that, especially you're going to be putting in a seepage bed. I just think we do it right the first time. And,
That works for me.
that's my opinion, just one board member.
Okay. Like I said, I'm open to, what I turned in, but just, if I could use some of that, fine. If I can't, it's fine too.
Not to throw another dart at that, but typically the stone that you stick behind a wall is to improve drainage, to get the water from behind the wall. So kind of is not getting it back into the ground like we would want in a seepage bed. So
Right. Yeah, because that's set up.
It would only need to be,
retaining wall set up to have weepers. So
it would only need to be 3 feet longer to mitigate the full 158 cubic feet.
Okay. Just as a question, have you talked to your neighbor in back?
we don't have any neighbors behind us.
Okay.
We have a farm behind us.
Okay.
Farm
It's
is
on the other
farm.
side of a retention basin. So,
Okay. All right.
so
That works.
they're
Yep.
probably 200 feet
Okay.
off the
That-
back of our property.
All right.
And I believe the actual retention basin is more for the runoff actually from the farm water.
Mhm.
So
Okay. All right. And Barb, you have anything you want to add? Since you've been working that way over there?
I did. So, Mr. Hines, I just want to make sure I understand this. On the plan that's shown, the
Yes.
blue shaded area is the proposed concrete patio, correct?
no, the blue shaded area is the covered part,
Is the covered
is the
part.
covered part.
So the section next to it that you have dubbed on the enlarged part of quote, open patio, is that also concrete?
Yes, it would be stamped concrete is what we're looking to do.
All right. Does the deck that you have now cover all that area?
It does not. It's
How much larger is this concrete patio going to be than the existing deck?
well, the deck now, I believe it's 12 by 16.
Okay.
So it's going to be probably, close to 700 square feet bigger.
Okay.
Now, if I'm looking at the picture from the blue shaded area to the dark shaded area, there looks like is that a concrete walkway?
Correct.
And there's a little section that's jutting out that says proposed rear walk. Does that exist? It's on the right side it's like that little jutting piece off the bottom.
It does not. Right now, it's currently pavers.
So what is the purpose of having that little bit there if there's going to be a walkway connecting the dark shaded area to the blue shaded area?
Maybe I'm misunderstanding which part you're speaking of.
All right, see the gray?
Bring
That
the
piece, right.
microphone, bring the microphone with you.
You said that doesn't exist right now.
Sorry, this part does exist. This is our driveway right here.
Okay,
So when you back out of the garage, you can turn and then go straight.
all right, so when it says proposed rear walk,
I believe it means this here, this whole piece here.
got that, is that is that existing?
There are pavers here, but we're going to remove them to make this grass and then put a walkway.
And when you say put a walkway, you're talking concrete?
Yes,
So that concrete walkway was included in the calculations with the deck?
yes.
And the stormwater management trench that you're proposing, who engineered that?
Nobody actually. I came up with it for the stormwater management part.
Has anybody reviewed, to your best of your knowledge, the dimensions of this stormwater trench as being compatible to reduce the storm water on the property back to the current 28.6%?
I did run it by our architect who did the plans, and he said that it would. So
In the event that the township engineer reviews the stormwater plan and ascertains that it's not large enough to hold the additional stormwater runoff, are you agreeable to to modify the trench to meet the township engineer's requirements?
yes,
And you said this is going to be a stone trench.
correct.
And where is that proposed to be placed?
It's going to place it in this section here.
And that is at the lowest level grading of the property?
The lowest level would be the wall,
Okay,
but this would be inside the wall.
okay. So it's going to be between the retaining wall and the proposed patio area?
Exactly.
Okay.
Where the property slopes anyway. It would, the water, if it was running, it would run across the top of that first before getting to the wall.
And you haven't constructed any features or anything on the property since you purchased it?
No,
All right. So the shed, that's been there?
that was there.
That
Yep.
was there. Okay. I have no other questions.
Okay. I don't think there is any. Is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
No public comment online.
Okay, so back to the board. Any further discussion? Okay, well, entertain a motion. All right, make a motion for Appeal Z 23-2023 to approve an increase to 20 to 34.3% proposed impervious to be mitigated back to 28.6% to the using a infiltration trench to the satisfaction of the township engineer.
I'll second.
Discussion.
I'm fine as long as the township engineer can approve this. That kind of eases the questions I had.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, as you just heard, so go ahead, file your permits.
Thank you very much.
Next up is Appeal Z 23-2024. And Mr. Flair can read in the exhibits while you're walking up. I'm gonna ready to be sworn in.
All right. We have the application as A1. We have the site plans as A2. We have the impervious surface breakdown calculations, as well as the stormwater management, small project volume control, collectively as A3, B1, proof of publication, B2, proof of posting, and B3, notice the neighbors.
Would you both state and spell your full name, please?
Rodriguez, R.E.
Just close to the microphone, please. Or pull it towards you.
Sorry.
Closer.
Renee Rodriguez, RENEE-RODRIGUEZ.
Dominic Donahue, DOMINIC, DONAHUE.
You both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, today we're here to ask for a variance, based on, we want to have a shed placed in the yard. And just, you can see the shape of the property with the setbacks for the shed being 10 foot off the property lines and the back quarter, whatever, that's supposed to be. That puts our shed basically kind of in the middle of our yard. So we were looking just for a variance to kind of move it to kind of the side of the property, kind of right off the, left corner of the house, probably about 35 feet in. So it's kind of not in the middle of our property.
Okay, questions from the board? Or actually, Barb, I believe you said you had something you wanted to say, so we'll let you start.
Oh, well, so the side that you want to place the shed is in the rear to the left of the house, correct?
Correct. I can point to it if you want to.
You just have to take the microphone with you.
Okay. It would actually be roughly about right here to where it is, because if we have to go the 10 feet due to the size of the shed, it's an 8x16. We need roughly 36 feet here, and it would actually put the shed roughly right here, and then we lose that whole section of the property.
So how close to the side property line is this proposed shed going to be?
I mean, we're open to it. I mean, if it still has to be 10 feet off the property line, I mean, we could do that as well, but we'd like to set it back just a hair closer, if we could maybe go half, like 5 feet, that may be a little bit better, just so it doesn't push it off and, kind of keeps it out. So we have the room for the kids and the dog to play,
Okay, so you're proposing about 5 feet off the property line.
Correct. And it's going to be roughly about 45 feet from the corner of the house to here is roughly where we want to put it.
Now, when you go to install the shed, it looks like it's going to add about 128 square feet in total to what's on the property.
Correct.
When you bought the property, did you put anything else down other than this shed?
No.
So everything that exists showing that it's over the impervious surface existed when you purchased the property.
Correct. The only thing we had since we bought the property was a fence put up, which we had the permit for.
Okay. Now you didn't conduct any stormwater management calculations for water runoff?
Just what was on the workbook that we did, and then the second time we went through, we saw about the trees, and now we heard tonight about the trees, but the shed will be placed on a stone pad. So originally we were going to do the shed is 8x16. We're going to do a 10x20 pad.
So that's going to increase your impervious surface because that wasn't calculated.
Well, it's stone pad, not concrete, just stone.
Yeah, they said they were going to initially.
They said it did.
Okay. So what type of footer are you going to put under the sheds?
Well, that's what we were trying to figure out as far as, but it would be stone if that's what we can do.
All right. Are you open to installing a sort of stormwater drainage pit if proposed by the township engineer?
Sure.
Is there a section in the rear corner of the property or behind the house where you wouldn't have any issues?
I mean, yeah, if we can run it all the way to the back of the yard or, but it's the way the property's set up. I mean, you have, we're kind of up on like a little bit of a hill. So then you have the whole neighbors down there, so.
So, and I understand this isn't your fault, but the maximum coverage for that area is 18%.
Okay,
You're already over it by 21.7%, not saying you did it.
right.
But would you be willing, because of the situation with stormwater and the flooding and everything that's been going on, would you be amenable to installing a drainage pit sufficient to have a net effect of bringing it back down to the 18%? And I don't know what size that would be. I'm not.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, but sure. You know, with,
I only have a calculation to bring it back to the existing. It would just be 2 by 4 by 8, but I don't know what the one would be back to the 18. Would probably be much.
It'd be pretty significant if that's what's required for 0.7%.
Yeah.
You'd be looking for 4 times that, 5 times that in
Yeah.
total. That's a
yeah,
lot.
that's.
Just thought I'd throw it out.
Yeah.
It's the cost of your shed and stone.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all I have.
Did you have discussions with the 3 neighbors who border that side property line?
We did not.
Is there a reason?
Is there a reason? No.
I mean, I ask because
Uh,
a lot of times when people are going to build something that is inside the setback, they just check with their neighbors, see how they feel about it. Anyway.
Any other board questions? All right, clearly there's nobody else in the room. Is there anybody online? Nope.
No public comment online.
I know you're going to ask for additional comments. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what a reasonable setback is. I mean, I see that they have a highly irregular shaped lot. You know, at the same time, nobody made you guys buy the house with the highly irregular shaped lot. Does anybody have any thoughts on what a reasonable setback is?
Yeah, it's a really good. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, sir, how wide is your lawnmower?
or lawnmower.
Beat me to it.
It's 50-inch deck.
So I would say
Your 5.
calculate sufficient amount of space in order.
That would
to
be your 5.
enable-
That would be your 5 foot.
That would be the 5 foot so that he can mow behind there and maintain it instead of having 2 feet with all kinds of stuff growing.
There's no fence there, right?
There is a fence there now.
There is a fence, okay. And that's pretty much on the property line, or is it inside?
It's
the property
actually a foot in off the property line.
line? Okay, so if we were to say 6 foot, which gives you 5 feet between the rear wall and the fence, is that okay with you?
We're fine with that.
Okay.
And I think we'd be talking like a drywall, right, for this size change? Yeah.
So a dry well would be preferable to a seepage pit?
It could be a seepage, but I was just saying you have choice. There's choices here. right?
Yeah,
Given the size of the size of this, it isn't.
It might be worthwhile just to let him deal with Dan and come up with an idea. It might be easy just to pipe the roof of into a stone pit with a little bit of PVC or something else. I don't know.
If you want to, I know you've been in the office before, but if you want to come in sometime this week, I'll be happy to talk to you about it. And then we can, if you get the variance, we can approve the permit, but.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve Appeal Z 23-2024, wherein the side setback of the shed will be 6 feet, no closer. And wherein the stormwater management's going to be mitigated from 22.47 back to 21.7%, subject to approval of the township engineer.
I'll second it.
That work for you? Okay. I don't think there's going to be any further discussion, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries.
Right?
All
Thank you.
right.
The lower Makefield.
Okay, it sounds like we already have appeals for the next meeting, right, Dan?
Yes, I think there's three or four.
Okay.
So enjoy your Labor Day and back to work.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any other business? Okay. Want to make a motion then?
Yes, I will make a motion that we adjourn until our next meeting, day after Labor Day.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Where are you at, Matt?